Hello, I'm Jeremy, and welcome to another episode of RevUs Reviews. There are many reasons people love Christopher Reeve's first Superman film. The amazing cast that perfectly captures their comic book counterparts while giving unique performances, the great atmosphere, the fantastic script, the dazzling special effects. But to me, the thing that makes Superman the movie a beloved classic is how it manages to aim at both kinds of superhero movie fans. While it is campy, it takes itself seriously enough to draw in the serious superhero movie crowd, but not enough to scare off the campy superhero movie crowd. And in the cutthroat world of cinema, where people with unpopular opinions are treated like criminals, it's nice when a film tries to appeal to both sides. And even though the director of the first Superman film, Richard Donner, was booted off the set of Superman 2 and replaced with Richard Lester, people loved that film just as, if not more than, its predecessor. But things started to take a dark turn for the Superman franchise around Superman 3. The producers of the first two Superman films, the Salkinds, wanted to make the third film more comedic, and even brought in famous comedian Richard Pryor. And while Superman 3 did do well at the box office, it was torn apart by both audiences and critics. Because of this failure, the Salkinds were booted off the franchise and replaced with Canon Films and Golan Globus, who were famous for not only making incredibly schlocky, cheesy movies like Masters of the Universe, the Break-In series, and that that Hercules movie where Lou Ferrigno threw a bear into outer space, but also for embezzling money and spreading it to various movie projects other than the one it was supposed to go to. And when Canon Films made the next Superman sequel, it not only bombed at the box office, it was eviscerated by both audiences and critics, permanently killed the Christopher Reeve Superman franchise, and postponed the developments of Superman films until 2006's Superman Returns. And now I'm going to defend the movie that halted that legacy. So pull up a chair as I attempt to defend Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. One day at a school in Metropolis, a teacher is discussing with her students the impending nuclear war and asking them if they have any ideas on how to stop it. A kid named Jeremy responds by saying they should write a letter to Superman about this problem, which Jeremy does. Superman is torn about the letter, but he eventually decides to help. He tells the world leaders to give them all of their nuclear missiles so he can throw them into the sun, which they do. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor has broken out of prison with the help of his nephew, Lenny Luthor. The two devise a plan to steal Superman's hair from a museum and put it, along with a piece of his costume, into one of the missiles Superman plans to throw into the sun, birthing Nuclear Man, an evil being with Superman's powers but shares Lex Luthor's desire to kill him. Meanwhile, Superman himself is dealing with a bunch of subplots that amount to nothing, like the Daily Planet getting taken over by a major company and the executive's daughter having a crush on Clark Kent. Similar to Troll 2, I both genuinely and ironically enjoy Quest for Peace. There's a lot of silly stuff to laugh at, like the horrible special effects and the film's lack of knowledge about nuclear war, but at the same time, there is some stuff to enjoy. Unlike Superman 3, which is incredibly dumb and silly, Superman 4 tries to create a story just as serious as the first two films. And while it does fail, you can at least see an effort to create something good, which is more than can be said for garbage like Catwoman and Batman v Superman. On top of that, the characters are just as good as they were in the other films. Christopher Reeve is fantastic as usual in the roles of both Superman and Clark Kent. Margot Kidder is still a good Lois Lane. Gene Hackman is fantastic as Lex Luthor as usual, and Mark McClure is still a decent Jimmy Olsen. But let's talk about the new characters, starting with the best one, Lenny Luthor. I personally think Lenny Luthor is a good henchman character. It's really funny seeing this stupid teenager character being paired up with a devilishly evil villain. Also, Lenny and his uncle have really good chemistry. Lenny himself has some really good lines, and John Cryer does a really good job playing him. Also, it's funny how at the end of the movie, Superman takes Lenny to a Christian school to shake off his uncle's negative influences. David Warfield, the guy who bought out the Daily Planet, is just your typical greedy boss guy. He doesn't really leave that much of an impression, and he's so unmemorable that I actually had to look up the Wikipedia article for Superman 4 just to remember his name. His daughter Lacey, on the other hand, is a much more interesting character. While her subplot with having a crush on Clark Kent doesn't amount to much, it is one of the more interesting subplots in the film. It's an interesting idea having the daughter of the head of a powerful corporation fall in love with the meek and mild Clark Kent. And it's interesting seeing the arc she goes through in order to become a good person. Finally, there's Nuclear Man. While it probably would have been cooler to have Bizarro in this movie, Nuclear Man is an equally effective villain. He's an incredibly menacing character who's just the right level of over-the-top and subtle. Also, and it's kind of cool, albeit pointless, that he has the same voice as Lex Luthor. Also, there's a part of the movie where Nuclear Man falls in love with Lacey. It's dumb, pointless, and it literally adds nothing to the film. But let's get to the good stuff. As good as the good elements, like story and acting, are in this film, the bad elements are even better. Quest for Peace is the kind of film that MST3K crew would riff on. There is so much stupid in this film. The special effects are laughably bad. The plot is a mess. The dialogue is wonderfully cheesy. There are incredibly ridiculous leaps in logic. They reuse one of Superman's flying shots again and again. They rip off both the Lois and Superman flying scene from the first film and the mind eraser kiss from the second film. Subplots appear and never get resolved. Remember that Jeremy kid I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the plot summary? After Superman announces his plans to the world, he never shows up again in the movie. But the highlight of stupidity is the fight scenes between Superman and Nuclear Man. These fight scenes are so bad, they make Karate Dog look like the Matrix. They flail around and move like malfunctioning Disney animatronics. Nuclear Man takes out Superman with electric fingernails. When they fight in space, you can see the black background representing space is actually a curtain. It's really dumb and fun at the same time. In conclusion, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace is a flawed but enjoyable superhero movie. While it does have a lot of problems, I don't really think it's one of the worst superhero films ever made, unlike certain people. The reason I think Superman 4 is hated by so many people is because they wanted a Superman film just as good as the first two. And if you were expecting that, then yes, Superman 4 is a disappointment. But if, like me, you were expecting a fun, silly, campy superhero movie that you and a bunch of friends can riff on, then this film 100% delivers. That's all for now. Join me next time when I talk about an underrated Arnold Schwarzenegger and clever and underrated Arnold Schwarzenegger film with explosions, Charles Dance, and a magical golden ticket. See you then.